Go to Markie here. I'm in the mobile studio. Just going to get comfortable, settle in for the video, and thank you to everybody for watching this. Special thanks to subscribers and extra super special thanks to patrons. Really appreciate you, and just by watching this video, especially if you watch it to the end, you help us help other people. Because the main purpose of this channel is to get information about retroactive jealousy out to people who have retroactive jealousy, or who are partners of people with retroactive jealousy who are suffering enormously, not knowing that in some cases that there even is such a thing, that it's a condition, it's a thing, and if they do know that it's a thing, they don't know that you can recover from it. And we put out tons of free recovery information. We also provide therapy. We do therapy. That's how we earn our bread and butter. But on YouTube especially, we put out tons of free information, which will get people on the pathway to recovery. Because most people who have retroactive jealousy just sort of think that they either think it's never going to go away, or they think they have unrealistic expectations of it going away, because it doesn't go away on its own. You have to do stuff. And we tell people what stuff to do to get well. So there we go, got that bit out of the way. It's been a while since we've met, hasn't it? I've been away. I had to go away and attend to some business, so not many videos have come out lately. Excuse me, I'm coughing again because I've just eaten. I always cough after I've eaten. I'm in the mobile studio, as you can see. It's a really lovely day today. I'll give you a little bit of a pan around. Don't want to show you any individuals if I can avoid it, but I'll give you a bit of a lie of the land. You see the tide's out, the sun is in the sky, there's a big ship out there. It's a really hot day today. You can smell tar everywhere, which I like. I love the smell of tar. When I grew up, when I was little, it wasn't the first house I lived in, but the second one was on a new estate. It was in a village, and we had fields all around, but it was an estate, a suburban type estate. And my parents had actually bought the house before it was built, so we used to go and visit it while it was sort of still in construction. And for a long time there was no tarmac on the road. It was just kind of gravel. And then I remember them coming in and putting the tarmac down, and I think it brings back kind of nice memories from that young age. I must have been about sort of 4 or something like that, and the smell of the tarmac. So I like the smell of tar, but it shouldn't really smell. There's something about this country. I'm in New Zealand. Bear in mind, you might be thinking, when's this guy going to get to the point? Well, I might never get to the point, because that's the style of this channel. It's a chatty conversational style. Okay, if you want kind of a slick presentation where I get to the point and I don't go off on tangents, you're in the wrong place, mate. So let's part as friends. This is a chatty channel and I'm chatting, all right? You shouldn't really, on a hot day, it isn't that hot, it's hot-ish, but it shouldn't be that hot that the tarmac's all melty. I think they build roads with bloody chocolate in this country rather than tarmac, because it melts at the drop of a hat, and it disintegrates when it rains. So there you go, that's a little tangent by the by, a little factoid about New Zealand, and about the roads. And the roads are terrible. I don't know what the difference is between like UK, where I'm from, and here, in terms of road building. But when if a truck or even a car goes past your house shakes in this country. The whole house shakes. It's like an earthquake. And we do get earthquakes. Sometimes I think, oh, we're having an earthquake, and it's just a car driving past, which is insane, isn't it? But there we go. So I wanted to have a bit of a catch up with you, as well as launch into the topic as such that we've got today, because as I say, I haven't put any videos out for a little while. One thing I did want to mention is that I am two things. I'm nearing 2,000 subscribers, which is great. Sometimes it still makes me a very small channel in the greater scheme of things. So we haven't got that much reach, And like I say, just by watching these videos and by being a subscriber and a supporter, you're helping us massively with all of that. I didn't explain that the reason why watching the video all the way through is such a helpful thing is it makes YouTube promote all of our videos more widely, including the ones on retroactive jealousy. So although this isn't the video about retroactive jealousy, and we do tons of stuff that's not about retroactive jealousy, watching any of our videos will inevitably mean that YouTube promotes our videos more widely, shows them to more people, makes them more visible, more easily searched out, and that's our goal, really. So so it's a celebration reaching, when we reach the 2,000 mark. Also, funnily coincidentally, we're at the point of where we're eligible for monetization, but don't get any funny ideas about that because when you get monetized, you might think that means you get money, but it doesn't really. You earn very, very little. So first of all, and I haven't, I'm not talking as an expert on this. This is what I know. I mean, other people will be able to tell you much more. Now, Uncle Burpee Yoga, which is a channel that I follow, a friend of this channel, he's got a good video where he's with a co-host and they're discussing the ins and outs of monetization and what it means. So if I can find that, I might put a link to it as well. I've already mentioned his channel in some other videos. But this is to my knowledge, okay, so I don't know everything, but essentially only some of your videos will get monetized. I know YouTube are very funny about topics. I talked about this in a slightly different context before, but if I talk about if I use words like suicide, and I shouldn't say it really, should I? I keep saying these trigger words. They will often say, oh, we're not going to monetize that one because you talked about suicide. Or if I talk about child sex abuse, they'll think, oh no, we're not going to monetize that. And I talk about things like suicide and child sex abuse because I'm a psychotherapist and I work with both those areas. I'm part of the solution. But YouTube seems to think that if you talk about these kind of things, if you talk about suicide, I'm saying it too many times now, I keep repeating it, I'm going damning this video to hell, aren't I? If you talk about this stuff, it must be bad and you must be kind of encouraging suicide, whereas I'm all about preventing suicide. Likewise, child sex abuse, I work in different capacities with that. So I work with survivors, I also work with people that have been perpetrators, I work with people who a whole wide range of kind of issues around prevention. Likewise with domestic or family violence, I work around that as well. So when I'm talking about it, I'm talking about it in such a way that it's either helping people recover from it, or it's sort of helping it not to occur in the first place. And I always get distracted at some point, especially when I'm here, by nature. But there's an awful lot of girls around, so I'm just going to quickly show you. I'm charging the phone at the moment, so the ones in the foreground, but look at the ones in the background. I don't think I've seen as many girls here. There's a place up the road where they nest, some islands, and you see loads there, but I don't think I've seen as many girls here. Somebody's just been feeding them. I don't know if that's to do with that. So first off, just to recap, if you're monetized, first of all, YouTube will only give you money for certain videos, and if the videos touch on any of those dodgy areas, or they consider dodgy areas, then they strike that off completely. And they'll do that on other things as well. So I've got channels that I follow that talk about military history, and sometimes their videos will get struck off of monetization because they talk about that. Or people that do true crime, so people that cover true crime, you can cover true crime, but you have to be kind of careful. If you show any grisly photos or anything like that, then they'll knock you out. They've got to be a certain type of video, and it's got to be something that basically that YouTube thinks is going to be is going to get a lot of views and make them money, because it's a business. That's what it's all about. So most of my videos, my channel is so idiosyncratic that I probably won't get monetized on anything really. I might get monetized on a few if I'm lucky. So monetization Sounds great, but it doesn't mean I make money. I mean, when you get to be really big channel size, and you know some of these really big channels make loads of money, but then often they're putting in a lot. You know, they have a whole team of people. There's somebody walking past, and I'm going to try and avoid filming. She's all suspicious now. You know, but they often have quite big teams of people and put lots of money into the production. As you can tell, I don't put money into my production because I'm a technophobe. I don't know how to use equipment. But at the lower levels, you don't make money. The other thing as well is they won't actually pay you until you're, if they do pay you, and I don't anticipate being paid for a very long time. If they do pay you, they don't give you the money until it's built up to a certain amount, which is kind of weird, isn't it? So rather than say, right, okay, you've made £2.50 and they send you the £2.50, they wait, I think it's something like 65 quid or something like that. You have to have earned 65 quid before they'll pay you. So I suspect I will probably make a little bit of money, but I suspect it'll probably be like 2 years or something before I get 65 quid, if I get that. The downside is if they monetize the videos, they'll put adverts on them, and that puts people off. Now at the moment, the lovely thing about my channel is you don't get interrupted by adverts, but that may happen, and that may also put you off watching my videos, because it is annoying. I pay for I don't know, I can't remember what it's called. I pay for the premium YouTube service, so I don't get the adverts, because YouTube's part of my work, really. Well, no, really about it, it's part of my work. Although the kind of my main profession is as a therapist and doing therapy. YouTube is how I get a lot of the work in. That's how lots of people come to me as a therapist, through having watched the videos. So therefore it's worth me investing in that, and I use YouTube a hell of a lot for learning and research and stuff like that. So I'm always looking at other people's channels and watching other videos. So where was I going with that? So first of all, when you get monetized, it doesn't mean you get any money. I think it'll be a long time before I make any money from YouTube, and you can actually lose subscribers because the adverts can put people off. So please don't be put off by the adverts. If I get to a point where there are adverts on my video, please stick with me. Don't abandon me don't discard me like something you discard. Can't think of a simile. Stay with me, please. I appreciate your loyalty and support so far. Please don't abandon me just because I've got a little bit further, reached a tiny milestone, and there are adverts on the video. So so that's what I wanted to say about that, really. I do make a little bit of money from videos through Patreon. So for those of you who don't know Patreon, it's a platform that was designed to support musicians and artists and people like that, and enable them to have an income, because there's some really talented people out there putting out some really good stuff, doing some amazing things, and they don't get any reward for it. So Patreon is like a sponsorship channel. If you find my Patreon channel and you wanted to support me, for example, then you become what's known as a patron, and you sign up and you get access to whatever I put on Patreon. And what I put on Patreon is everything basically that's on YouTube, plus some extra bonus material, and there are a few other benefits as well to members or patrons. Let's call them what they are. When you sign up on Patreon, you become a patron, because you're like being a patron of the arts. That's where it comes from. So I do make some money on there, and I'm really grateful to. I'm not making millions on there. I'm making quite a small amount. Though some people have been very generous. I had somebody recently very kindly sponsor me on Patreon for $100. So $100 a month, just from one individual. And most of the people that sponsor me, it's for smaller amounts. You can choose what you want to pay. It can be minimum of $1 American per month. And that's absolutely fine, because if I get lots of people that support me by $1, that adds up, and that's great. That all helps to support me in what I do. So I do make a bit of money from my videos, but it's not a great deal. But I'm very, very grateful for it nonetheless. Okay, so that's that one out of the way. What I wanted to propose today was a little challenge. It's a challenge for me, actually, not a challenge for you, but you can help me with it, or you could actually make it really hard for me, actually, if you wanted to. So I'm, among other things, I'm a poet. I have been published, not a lot, but I have been published. But again, it's not something I've pursued. It's not something I've made my main focus at any point. It's, you know, more of a hobby really that has run alongside the other things that I do. I'm a poet, and I had my kind of beginnings in the bardic tradition, which is a Celtic poetry tradition, which has been revived in the United Kingdom. It's always been a thing in Wales, but it's and Cornwall as well, since the early part of the 19th century, 20th century, I believe. But it's a tradition that's been revived in other parts of England in particular, and I was involved in that tradition. I've got some of the videos that talk about that. It's really interesting. It's a very, very kind of obscure and lesser known tradition, and I've been the Bard of Bath, and I've been the Bard of Exeter. So yeah, so I write poetry. I haven't written anything for ages, but what I thought would be a fun thing to do would be to ask you to put in the comments a word that you would like me to include in a poem. Okay, now shall I put any limitation on this? Nah, I won't put any limitation on it. If you put in if you suggest a rude word, that's okay. We can do rude words. We'll get, you know, we won't get monetized, but they're probably not going to get monetized anyway on that, you know, on that particular video. We'll get monetized in principle. So, so when I say we'll get monetized, that means you reach the point where YouTube says, yes, in theory, we could give you some money. That's what I mean by monetized. And then you can talk about an individual video being monetized, which means, you know, are they going to give you money for this particular video, or are they not? And for the most part, most of my videos they won't give you money for anyway. The other thing, by the way, that can help is sponsorship. So if you're a business and you would like to sponsor me, I will promote your goods and or services in the video, providing it's, you know, something ethical. I will do that for, you know, if we can come to strike a good bargain. The other thing as well, sorry, I'm backtracking, which is what I do on this channel. I was supposed to be talking about the poetry now, but we're going to go back and talk about money again. You're just going to talk about money. That's all I care about. When you get monetized, you also get some other little kind of privileges, and one of which is you can ask. There's a mechanism for asking for donations. So some people don't want to sign up on Patreon, but they want to support by a donation. Now you can do that at the moment through PayPal, and the description box tells you how you can do that if you feel so inclined, and I would be very grateful. But there are kind of more established things you can do, like the Buy Me a Coffee thing. I don't know entirely how it all works, but I know you're not eligible for it until you reach the monetization level, and then you can have a thing on your video somewhere on the description box where people can click on, and it's just it's just a bit quicker than, you know, going on to PayPal and trying to find out what my email address is and identify me on PayPal and send money on PayPal. Although I have had some I had a donation recently on PayPal, so thank you very much to the person that sent me that. I don't mention people's names because, being, you know, focused a lot on therapy and disorders and things like that, a lot of the people that support me are people who, you know, for example, have retroactive jealousy and things like that, and it wouldn't be appropriate for me to say, oh, thank you to Timothy Smith from, you know, Doncaster or whatever for supporting me, because they may not want their name to be, you know, spoken on the telly, as it were, in relation to disorder. So I'd only ever sort of mention somebody's name with permission. So that's why I don't do that. So jumping, yeah, just a little point on that, really. So poetry. Get back to poetry, Markie. So what I thought I'd do, this was inspired by, I was a guest on a regional BBC radio station, and the presenter He was a bastard, really. During the time it took him to play a record, challenged me to write a poem about him, I think, or about the show, which I did. I'm quite good at doing poems off the cuff very quickly. Sometimes I can, just speak out poems, short ones spontaneously. It's interesting at the brain, the amount of things, because I'm neurodivergent, the amount of things that I can't do, like simple maths and things like that. But I can come up with a rhyme on the spot. So I did respond. I did quite a good poem, actually, but I made it about him, and it was supposed to be about him? I don't know if it's supposed to be about him. I think it was a poem, but I made it about him and had a pop at him to get him back for putting me on the spot. All in good fun. But I got my own back. So inspired by that. That's it. And the other thing, this is a different thing, actually. This is another. So that was BBC Radio Devon, and then BBC Radio Cornwall. They got listeners to phone in with keywords for me to include in a poem, and then I came back and read the poem on another show. So that's what I'm inviting you to do, is to give me a word that I will include in the poem. Now, I don't know what response I'm going to get to this. Probably not much. But most people are kind of switched off by now. So what I invite you to do is to put in the comments a word that you'd like me to include in the poem, and I will allow rude words if that's what you really want me to do. If you really want to stoop so low as to put cuss words or scatological or sexual references into this lovely poem, then so be it. I'll go with that. So just one word from you, from each individual, not a bunch of words, just one word each. And I will write a poem, and I will include up to 5 of them. Okay. Now, if I get fewer suggestions, then I will write a poem with the suggestions that I get. If I get one suggestion, I'll write a poem with the one suggestion in. But it doesn't really work with one suggestion, because it's about the skill of making a kind of a cogent and coherent narrative or theme, and bringing in disparate elements. That's where this this challenge gets interesting, and that's what makes it a bit harder. So if I just get one, that would be a bit boring. But if I get 2 or more, a maximum of 5, I promise to include in this poem. But if I get more than 5, I will try and include as many as I can. So if I get 10, I won't just say, "Oh, right, I'm going to pick the 5 easy ones." If I get 10, I will try and include 10. But I'm not promising, okay? Because depending on what I get, it might be impossible. So I will write a poem with your word in it, okay? So you could approach this in lots of different ways. You could bring up an issue that you want me to talk about. You could bring up a place that is your favourite place, or your favourite hobby, or your favourite music, or anything really. Or you could just try and make life difficult for me and put something like anti-disestablishmentarianism in there, or some really niche technical word. Well, that's a niche technical word, isn't it? And any other sort of obscure or tricky word, just to try and make it hard for me. But that's all right. I don't mind that, because it makes it more fun. And I will write a poem, and I will read the poem in a response video. How's that? So a bit of fun and a bit of chance to engage, because that's what I want. I want to engage with you people. I want this, like I say, I like this to be a conversation. I like this to be a chat. I mean, I've got some lovely subscribers that give me some really excellent comments, or share their own experiences or their own opinions about things. So if I do a video on, like I did one on mentalization recently, which is about kind of the ability to put yourself into somebody else's shoes, see things from their perspective. So some people have shared their own experiences around this, whether how they feel that relates to the people around them. or shared their opinion, or some people tell me little stories and stuff like that, and we have a nice, we have nice chats in the comments. So I feel like I've made, I feel like I've made some real friends on here, even though we haven't met. We chat quite regularly. So Traveller in Time is a channel where I have some really good conversations. I might do a video on the Traveller in Time channel. Actually, I've got a series on YouTube channels that I like and that I follow. And Traveller in Time, he goes out to ancient sites. Sometimes they're churches, sometimes they're standing stones, and talks about the history and the vibe. And more recently as well, he's done presentations on aspects of folklore. So he's brought together a whole bunch of kind of information about I can't think of a good example now on the hoof, but you know what I mean anyway, and they're very good. I mean, that's a subject that I'm really interested in, and I've studied and followed for a long time, but every time he does one of these videos, I learn something. I think, well, I didn't know, I knew that, but I didn't know that. So he's based up north, as I would say, being what we call a southern pansy. If you're not from the UK, if you're not from England, England is a country that has a north-south divide. The cultures are kind of not massively different, it's not like going into another country, but the accents are very different, different slang and idiom and things like that. So the south is the stereotypical idea of the south is people being quite kind of posh, kind of a bit snobby, social climbing, not liking to get their hands dirty, whereas the north is the stereotype of that is that it's much more gritty. People are tougher, call a spade, it's more kind of honest and authentic, and of course there's probably a kernel of truth in that, really, but there are people of both kinds in both the north and the south. But of course it goes way back, because the north was settled more by Vikings and the south was settled more by Saxons and other tribes. So actually, genetically, the people are slightly different from the north and the south. And also, because I'm from the south, I don't know the places that he visits, so, which is great, really, because I've been to a lot of the famous ones in the south. I haven't been to many in the north. So so the stuff that he presents is all, is the places he visits are nearly all new to me, and I think, wish I still lived in the UK. I could go and see that. Maybe take a couple of weeks, on holiday up north somewhere and check out some of these amazing places that I've not visited. Anyway, I need to go now, because I'm running out of time. I've got to go and see a client. So send me a word. Don't be cheeky. You can send me a rude word, but be nice, and I will see what I can do. So good to catch up with you. Feels good, and thanks for indulging me in my rambles about where the channel's at and that kind of thing. And thanks, more than that, thank you for supporting us and getting us to this point. And please support us, get us to the next point, because it's all about helping other people. So on that point, I will say thank you very much, and catch you in the next one.